Recently, Saudi Arabia presented plans for the most ludicrous and massive mega project ever. Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince, plans to erect two parallel skyscrapers that will rise 500 meters high and span 170 kilometers across desert and mountainous territory. The Mirror Line project's realization would need the construction of 2001 World Trade Centers next to one another twice. Welcome to Unleash Billions, the channel dedicated to exploring the lives and strategies of the world's most successful entrepreneurs and business leaders. So join us as we uncover the secrets of the billionaires and learn how you can unleash your own success. Let's get started! Building 4,000 buildings at once and in the same location seems absurd considering that only 12 skyscrapers in the world have broken the 500-meter height barrier so far. So why did Saudi Arabia make such a ridiculous announcement? Are they capable of making it happen? Or are they merely attempting to attract global attention? Few nations in the world can boast a transformation strategy as comprehensive as Saudi Arabia. The kingdom released its Vision 2030 in 2016, a strategy for economic diversification that would lessen reliance on oil and move the economy toward tourism, technology, and other areas. Since then, they have unveiled a grand scheme known as NEOM, which stands for New Future. NEOM, which will be a smart city in the future, is now made of three enormous mega projects. The Oxagon, a floating industrial complex with 8 sites, is the first phase of the development and would act as a terminal for ships traveling across the Red Sea. The city will also feature a well-known outdoor skiing resort called Trojena in the Arabian Peninsula, where entertainment and activities should be held all year long. All of these plans, nevertheless, do not compare to the Mirror Line, which was initially unveiled in January 2021. Recently, more information about this fabled line has come to light, and to say it is bizarre would be an understatement. The Mirror Line is what then? It will span 170 kilometers of arid landscape and is made up of two skyscrapers that are each 500 meters tall. In order to accommodate a city of 9 million people, these parallel towers will have mirrored exteriors with only 200 meters between them. The linear metropolis will extend from the Red Sea's Gulf of Aqaba shoreline into the interior of the nation, passing over mountainous and arid terrain. There will be walkways that connect the two mirrored facades. Public parks, offices, and homes will be stacked one on top of the other in the majority of the interiors, which will be vertically constructed. In essence, their aim is to vertically stack the components of a typical metropolis on top of one another. Additionally, their proposed calls for the use of cutting-edge technology is completely sustainable. Vertical gardening will be built into the 500-meter-high walls to feed the inhabitants. In addition, the building is planned to have a sports arena that rises 305 meters above the ground and a marina for boats. But can it actually be constructed? Or when will it be? The Mirror Line has been referred to as a revolution in culture by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, although it more closely resembles a vast wonderland that will actually come to life out of a work of fiction. By 2030, Saudi Arabia hopes to have portions of it completed and more than 1 million people living there. The Mirror Line, however, just makes too many promises in too little time, despite the fact that humanity has erected some enormous structures in some of the most challenging environments. Currently, Saudi Arabia has a poor track record of constructing remarkable skyscrapers. For instance, the Jeddah Tower, which was intended to top the list of tallest structures in the world, is still under construction and has only grown to around 1/3 of its original proposed height. But it might be compared with the ambitious aspirations of the Illinois from more than 60 years ago. It seemed absurd at the time to plan for a building to be a mile tall. Like the Illinois, the Mirror Line might only ever exist on paper, or in this case, in promotional videos and 3D representations. However, this time, everyone is tuned in, and almost 50 million people have already seen one of their trailers. Why then does Saudi Arabia make such an exceptional proposal when the promises are almost certainly unattainable? Saudi Arabia has embarked on a campaign to rebrand its image ever since Mohammed bin Salman assumed control of the nation's affairs. A part of that rebranding push are initiatives like the Mirror Line, which are sure to gain notice on a global scale. Although the majority of visitors to Saudi Arabia currently come for pilgrimages, the country wants to be known as having much more to offer and is working to diversify its economy. Saudi Arabia aims to change how the world views it by making newsworthy announcements like the Mirror Line. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who has compared the project to some of the largest mega projects in the Middle East and refers to the Mirror Line as my pyramids, attaches importance to it personally as well. The announcement of an astonishing project in the middle of Neom, which is intended to become Saudi Arabia's own architectural icon, will heighten interest. Furthermore, according to the website, Neom is a vision of what the new future might look like. Therefore, it might also be considered a research project for cutting-edge urban planning and transportation ideas. The introduction of the Mirror Line has successfully brought Saudi Arabia to the attention of the world. But the majority of reactions haven't been favorable. There are a lot of unsolved questions. The large carbon footprint that something like this will leave behind is not mentioned, despite the fact that they intend to develop a city with a transit system that is entirely sustainable and emits no emissions. Oldfield at the University of New South Wales calculated that constructing the line would produce up to 2 billion tons of CO2, which is more than 4 years' worth of the UK's entire CO2 emissions. When you take into account these massive construction emissions, the idea of building a carbon-neutral metropolis doesn't sound all that compelling. Additionally, critics have not been slow to draw attention to Saudi Arabia's track record on human rights and are already estimating the human cost of Saudi Arabia's ambitions. There are various indigenous groups in the area that have long resided in towns and villages. Around 20,000 people, according to foreignpolicy.com, are compelled to make place for Neom. Additionally, Saudi security agents are alleged to have killed at least one protester by shooting him. Additionally, the nation has failed to enact strong labor regulations, which has resulted in widespread mistreatment of migrant workers. To yet, the authorities have not provided a clear plan for resolving the problem. Raising finance for the trillion-dollar mega project will be difficult because of the country's questionable human rights record. The country is still largely shunned by the West, and attempts to partner on economic matters are met with opposition, contrary to the planners' hopes of luring foreign investors. Some of the proposals for Neom and the Mirror Line are just too intricate to carry through, even if they do receive the funding. According to the majority of commentators, the finished designs will seem considerably different from those that are being promoted on media platforms. According to what we have seen so far, Saudi Arabia lacks the kind of knowledge necessary to make most of its recent boasts a reality. The size of the Mirror Line project is too large to finish in the coming decades, even with assistance from elsewhere. Regarding Mirror Line, it's also crucial to consider whether people would truly choose to reside there. The Mirror Line is currently viewed as a conceptual idea for many lifestyles. However, in reality, the project is vastly overscaled and has a number of issues, including the aforementioned violations of human rights and its viability. For the time being, it remains an unachievable task, and a more practical strategy would be to incorporate some of the futuristic concepts into Saudi Arabia's current cities. What do you think of the Mirror Line though? Will it always be a science fiction fantasy, or might it ever be built? Post your comments below. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Unleash Billions. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest content. Remember, success is within your reach, so unleash your inner billionaire. Until next time, we'll see you in the next video.